Very excited to announce Drew Oetting, founding partner of 8VC, one of the top supply chain tech venture capital firms out there. Over $7 billion under management. Drew's going to be our investor keynote at the 2023 Innovators Summit happening this year in Austin, Texas, November 14th through the 16th. Drew, so excited to have you join us at this year's Innovators Summit. Thank you so much. I think the audience is going to be truly delighted and learn so much from you. Would love to hear, a little bit about yourself and your journey and the 8VC story.
Yeah, well, first off, thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to being there and meeting everyone. So I grew up in Iowa, and I was very fortunate to go to a school called Claremont McKenna, which is not in Iowa, it's in California, where I studied math and economics. And I got very lucky again after that to be introduced to my long-term business partner, who is an incredible entrepreneur. He's a guy named Joe Lonsdale. Joe was an intern at PayPal, and then along with Peter Thiel and some others, built a company called Palantir. Left that, started another company called Adipar, which was a wealth management software company, or is a wealth management software company. And I joined him there as his chief of staff. And very soon after that, we ended up going to focus on investing full time. And I've been really fortunate to work with him ever since, as we built up 8VC, where, as you mentioned, we're really an early stage venture capital business focused on really the biggest parts of the economy. So supply chain, logistics are two of the biggest areas we invest in. And we also build companies from scratch. So about 25% of what we do at 8VC is actually build companies, from kind of the ground floor up. And so about 20 to 25% of what we've done, both on the investing and build side, has fallen broadly into logistics, supply chain, and that part of the world.
Some of the portfolio companies that I think are, many of them, but some examples of portfolios that you invested in long ago that I'm sure our audience would be very familiar with would be firms like Project 44, Deliverr, who's been in the news a lot these days, Flexport, as well as things like Kojo, who is providing software for contractors, but also now integrating with a lot of distributors who will be at this year's event, and then B2B marketplaces also like Knowde in the chemical space, and a number of other things. Those are just some select highlights. What is most exciting to you in kind of your role at 8VC today?
Well, I think I feel very fortunate that basically every day I get to spend time with entrepreneurs who are obsessed with some part of the world, who've spent, in many cases, decades thinking about a problem, and then they spend hundreds, of hours every week probably thinking about something, and then in 1 hour or whatever, they distill that down and they teach me about it. So it's a job that's pretty hard not to be excited by every day, I think. If you're optimistic and you want to, learn about the ways the world may change. So I've always felt incredibly fortunate that I get to do that. And I get to do it with working with many of my best friends as colleagues. So, I think that's broadly what I'm most excited by. I think right now there's, venture capital is always a chaotic place, but it's been an especially chaotic place for the last 3 years. We had what I would say is a very sort of irrational, exuberant time, and now we have had a sort of a crash to reality. But it's venture capital there's a lot of helium in venture capital. As you can see, there's now a lot of excitement about generative AI and what that may or may not ultimately end up sort of bringing, both in terms of impact on the world, but also financial returns. So it's always an interesting place to be, because I think you see the tip of the spear on a lot of stuff. You see a lot of dreams that that don't end up coming to fruition. You see a few that do. And so it's always, it's a great vantage point. I think the flip side of it is that I always enjoy spending time, with folks who run what I guess we would call maybe real businesses, or businesses that are, profitable and have been around for a while. It helps anchor what we do. Obviously, it helps to get perspectives of potential customers or partners. But also there's a lot to learn, I think, from the way that traditional businesses are run, that can help startups build themselves in a more efficient way, which, outside of maybe a couple areas like generative AI, there has been a big return in the venture world to focusing on, cash flow, profitability, and capital efficiency.
You have an illustrious kind of advisory board or network of advisors, right? That come from a lot of those enterprises. I'm pretty sure, you have, I think Lineage Logistics is either part of that or maybe also an LP. I don't know. And I'm sure some other distributors that are kind of directly in that network or tangentially in that network. And I'm sure many other strategics that are either advisors or LPs or both. Yeah,
we've been really incredibly fortunate to, both as, investors in our business, but also, advisors and sort of just common collaborators, a bunch of incredible folks that are, across logistics, supply chain, distribution, and have taught us a lot, and have been great commercial partners to many of our startups. In some cases, co-founders of companies that we've started, and in other cases, acquirers of them. So it's kind of one of the, I think the models that we use to learn about the world is not just, obviously listening to startups, pitch their dreams, but, taking those and testing those against the largest companies in the world that have been really successful, but also, are interested and appreciate and are excited by learning about new ideas and new technologies. But we can use their vantage point to filter the ones out, hopefully a bit that are maybe most realistic or will be most impactful.
It's funny you mentioned that up. That was actually not pre-scripted. I mean, that is actually exactly the ethos of this conference, is bringing together the best and brightest tech startups in the distribution space with the leaders and decision makers at the largest wholesale distributors. And so we couldn't be more excited to have you. You're actually not only our investor keynote, but you're actually also our closing keynote on the 16th, November 16th. So everyone's going to have to stick around and keep their butts in their seats to enjoy all the insights that they're going to get out of your session. So super excited to have you again, Drew. Thanks for taking some time with us today, and look forward to seeing you in a few months.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm excited to see everyone then.